What's going on, guys? So today was probably the toughest challenge the Skag Cheetah 2 has ever been presented with. We had some pretty bad rain over the last week, actually a week and a half, due to a tropical storm that came through here. Really wasn't that bad of a storm. We didn't get a ton of wind. We did get on and off sporadic rain, but the rain we got at times was really torrential. Nothing from a flooding aspect, at least where we're at, but it certainly fed the grass, and the grass grew very tall. And I typically will take the Skag out if the grass is super tall because it is significantly more powerful from a horsepower perspective. The Toro does an absolutely fantastic job as well with tall grass, but maybe it's just me assuming that, 24 horsepower versus 38, 39 horsepower, both Kawasaki engines, this being a much heavier unit by about 500 pounds versus the Toro, that it tends to push that grass down or go over it as opposed to possibly crawl on it. Now, it was a rough day for the Skag. It stalled out on me, I'm going to say at least 6 times while I was going over some really tall grass that had accumulated. When it stalled out, I would try to back off of the grass so I could, thin out what was underneath it. And I was going really slow. I had it set at 4 inches, and then I came back at 2.5 inches. So at 4 inches, it was stalling out because the grass was so tall. It was probably 2 foot tall grass, but it's super dense ranch grass. You'd go over it, I'd probably be rolling over it at around 3 miles an hour. I'm pretty dang slow. And I would hear it start to bog down, and I guess a lot of grass would get caught underneath the blades or inside of the deck, and it would just feel out of balance really bad. I'd have to back off of it. Sometimes it would stall, sometimes it would kick back on, and you'd see a clump of grass that looked like, a basketball just go flying out the side. But overall, we got through it. I ended up having to go back over it several times and then finally cut it down to about 2.5, 2 3/4 inches whenever the majority of the big bulk of grass mess was cleared out of the way. Otherwise, it would just stall out again. I haven't ran into many scenarios where the Toro has stalled out, but to be fair and honest, I haven't subjected the Toro to the most insane tall grasses that the Skag gets presented with. And the Toro, honestly, I feel like it would probably perform similarly. But again, that increased power that the Skag has and the weight, I feel, gives it a bit of an advantage in that type of a scenario. What I can tell you, though, is I'm very pleased with the performance overall of the Skag. But in my opinion, and just the way I feel, I almost feel as if there really shouldn't be any grass within reason that stalls this mower out. I feel as if, if you're going over 4 foot tall grass, yes. If you're going over, weeds that are 1 inch thick at the base, yes, I totally agree. That kind of stuff, you really need a brush hog, right? You really need something that attaches to the back of a tractor or to the front of the excavator that you can get in those areas that's just designed to chop, and it's built around a type of platform that even if a blade gets caught up on something, it's not gonna kill power to the entire unit. Similar to the stuff that you see cities and municipalities use to clean up ditches. I totally agree. If that was the type of grass I was trying to cut with this, or the type of foliage at that point, then yes, it should stall it out. But I'm just a little bit in awe of the fact that the grass I went over, again, about 2 feet tall, so about 24 inches tall, so it probably goes up past, the top here by maybe about 8 inches or so. I do feel as if I shouldn't have any issues going through that. Now, the blades on this mower are relatively new, so it's not as if the blades are super dull and super old. I don't make them razor sharp, but I do make them pretty dang sharp, probably like butter knife sharp, because that's what I've always been taught. You make them razor sharp, you get big chunks that can come out of it if you hit something hard. You make them butter knife sharp, it's less of a chance that could happen, and overall your blades will last longer and your cutting performance will be better. I know that some folks will probably disagree with that, but that's just kind of my thought pattern behind cutting. Now, again, this mower performs really well. This mower performs really well. Next time we cut grass that's that tall, we are going to take the Toro out because I want to see how this thing performs, considering it's half the price, considering it is, probably 14 horsepower less than that, and it's about 500 pounds lighter than that. it's going to be interesting to see how well this performs in that type of a grassy scenario, because I'm kind of interested. I mean, again, what I was putting this through, I did not feel should have bogged it down or made it stall as many times as I stalled out. And I don't know why this one seems to perform just as well as the Skag, but at a significantly lower price, at a significantly lighter weight, with significantly less power. So those are all things that I'm trying to figure out. But that said, I did want to let you guys know that the Skag is still awesome. I still love it. It's a beast. It's strong. It is absolutely something I could see commercial companies use. But I'm going to have to be honest with you. If this one cuts equally as well and does not bog down or does not stall as the Skag, then I would say this is the far better value. But we'll only be able to tell whenever we get it back out there and we start cutting similar grass with it. Anyways, just wanted to give you guys an update on the mowers. Still like them both. I have no issues with either of them, other than the fact that I feel this one should go through some of the things I put it through a little bit more effortlessly than it does. Okay, and I also wanted to give you guys a quick update on some of the Toro equipment that was provided to me. And this stuff now is going on over 2 years old. This stuff was provided quite a while back, and we've been testing and using the heck out of this. Now let's start with this super recycler. This is a really cool Toro 60-volt lithium battery-powered mower. And we really didn't know how well this would perform out here, especially in areas that you typically might do with a riding lawnmower. So we typically will do the front yard directly in front of the cabin and behind it with this, as well as smaller areas, maybe around the shop, smaller areas that you just can't get the big mowers. And this thing has been performing like an absolute champ. It does not have any issues at all. We haven't had any problems whatsoever, no breakdowns, nothing wrong. Even the blades are still relatively sharp, considering we have put this thing through the ringer. It gets used several times a week for various areas, especially after it rains. And I can honestly tell you, if you are on the fence about a battery-powered mower, as long as you have the batteries and the capacity to keep this thing going for the size of yard you have, and as long as you understand the limitations in terms of width, that you're not going to have a super wide cutting deck, this is a really, really good option for folks who need that smaller mower for tighter places, or even just have a normal size yard that they would typically use a push mower for. Now, the nicest aspect of this is how quiet it is. It pretty much sounds like a fan whenever it's running. You do still want to be careful. It is still a powerful mower, and it can still injure you if you're not careful. So always wear proper eye protection, stuff like that. But we've been very pleased with this. Lightweight, real powerful, works exceptionally well, and I can honestly say that this is a great buy, especially if you were looking for a high-end battery-powered mower. Now on the table, we have two really, really solid pieces of equipment, and these are two that are used a lot out here. The blower, you know, we've had this blower now since we've been testing all the equipment. It still works. We have no problems with it, other than the fact that it kind of makes a strange kind of bit of a raspy noise. I'm not sure exactly what's causing that. It's probably maybe the fan motor getting a little looser. Not exactly sure why it's making that, but it has still been working flawlessly. So much to the point that I have two more of these that I purchased. One for the shop, and then another one as a backup for this one in the event that it goes out. Because the last thing you want to do is have it go out, and then you have to make a trip to the store to try to find a replacement, and heaven forbid they don't have it in stock. We've loved this thing. It's been a champ, and these battery packs have worked flawlessly. We haven't had any battery packs fail. What we've tended to do is kind of gravitate from the super heavy, large capacity battery packs at times to the smaller, lighter ones, only because it makes the tool lighter whenever you're carrying it around, and it's just an easier tool if you're going to use it for a longer period of time. We still use the heavier batteries if we are going out to an area where we just don't want to have to come back to grab another battery pack. But the lighter batteries definitely come in handy if you're doing a smaller job, smaller area, or if you're close to the shop where the chargers are, so you can just simply go back, grab a new one, and pop it in. The Weed Eater has also been a brute. This thing has absolutely been performing flawlessly. A couple things here. So this is the modular one. This is the one that we can actually swap the front head out. And we've been opting to use this one over the dedicated Weed Eater for one reason. The variable speed on this one performs better. It does. It absolutely has phenomenal variable speed, so you don't have to worry about, you know, just slightly pressing the button, the thing going full bore. Watch. See, I can run real slow like that. or I can run at full speed. It has really been a great tool as well. We did replace this part right here only because we were banging around the front so much on the other one, it kind of got jammed up and it just wasn't performing as well. But that was after over a year and a half of hard use. And the weed eater out here absolutely gets used more and in a harder way than probably any other tool or how any other tool is designed. So we're really happy with all of this stuff. But I also want to hear from you guys. I know that Toro sells this stuff at Lowe's. That's actually where we bought 2 of the replacement blowers over here just to have, and they sell all of this stuff. And I think a lot of people have probably opted to try it out by now. I think more people are getting comfortable with electric powered tools versus gas powered tools for their lawn. And I really want to know, what do you guys think? If you guys have the Toro Flex Force lineup of tools, leave a comment below. How have they been performing for you? Do you have the same one? I realize there's like 3 different versions of this, and you have to look for the CFM on the side here to determine which one you have. I accidentally bought the lower power one. I unboxed it, realized it looked different a little bit. It was lighter, and I took it back and bought the higher power one, the 605 CFM. And I think they even make one that's a little bit higher power than that. But dollar per dollar, that right there is the best value in terms of a blower that we've been able to find. But again, leave a comment below. I'd love to know your thoughts. What do you guys think? If you have this lineup of tools, how have they performed for you? Have they held up just as well for you as they have for us? And what do you subject them to? Especially if you have one of these Toro Super Recycler push mowers, battery powered push mowers. I'd love to know your thoughts. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.